Yes, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Welcome back to yet another live broadcast on your favorite football updates channel. It's a pleasure to be back on this beautiful Saturday night / evening to once again engage on the latest from the world of football. We will be following the updates from the game between Wolverhampton Wanderers and Arsenal that is just kicked off about 12 minutes or 14 minutes or thereabout ago. We'll be following that, and then we'll get to, discuss what the starting team 11s are, what transpired earlier on in the Premier League with victories for Chelsea and Liverpool, and things like that. So please indulge me as we have our audios tested just to make sure everything checks out perfectly well for the purposes of this broadcast, But I hope you've had a wonderful Saturday so far. As I speak, the game is still goalless between the two sides. It's still goalless. Neither side has yet to see the back of the net. I don't know whether that's comforting or disappointing, depending on what side you're rooting for in as far as tonight is concerned. All right. In some of the other games, Barcelona beat up against Osasuna by 2-0 with what's his name? With Rafinha scoring a brace in that one to ensure that Barcelona won all 3 points there on the evening. It wasn't the best of games, really. I thought that goal that was scored by Celta Vigo should have stood, in my opinion. The referee claimed that there had been a foul on the goalkeeper, yet for me, it did not seem that much of a foul. It felt like, as the goalkeeper goes down, comes into contact with the Celta Vigo player, with the Osasuna player, and that's what it was, really. But the referee thought otherwise. Perhaps, of course, without a doubt, he has a better interpretation of the rules than we do here. But in my objective opinion, I thought the goal should have stood, So it is what it is. Quickly, here are the starting 11s for both teams in as far as tonight is concerned. Excuse me. Just a second. Oh, yes. Here's how Arsenal have set up. They have David Raya in goal, Ben White, William Saliba, Yuan Timber, and Pierre Hincapié in the back four. Ebeleche Eze, Martin Zubimendi, and Declan Rice form the midfield three. Willis Bukayo Saka, Victor Gyökeres, and Gabriel Martinelli are ahead. On the bench, it's a pretty strong bench with Kepa Arrizabalaga, Maz Lewis Kelly, Martin Odegaard, the captain, Christian Nogard, who I would have loved to see start this particular game following his performance against Club Brugge, but I would have loved him to start in midfield ahead of Martin Zubimendi, to give Martin Zubimendi a bit of a rest. Ethan Nwaneri, Mikel Merino, Gabriel Jesus, Leandro Trossard, and Noni Madueke are the players on the bench for the Arsenal. Of course, Ricardo Carafiori misses this fixture through suspension, having accumulated 5 yellow cards. Released Kai Havertz, Gabriel Magalhaes, Christian Mosquera, and Max Doman are all out injured. On the side of Wolverhampton Wanderers, they have Sam Johnston in goal, Totti Gomez, Emmanuel Agbaduo, Yosin Mosquera, David Amola, Kritsch, Andre, Joe Gomez, Matt Doherty, Jorgensen Larsson, and Wang Hee-chan. That's the starting 11 for Wolverhampton Wanderers, a team that is yet to win a game of football in as far as this competition is concerned. So do let me know what your predictions are for this particular game, and I will be reading them out as we go on into, as we go through this broadcast. My personal prediction was a 3-0 victory for the Arsenal. It has not changed. even when I have gotten some of the other predictions from earlier on in the day. For example, Fulham beat up against Burnley by 3-2. My prediction had been a 1-0 victory for Burnley. I had predicted that it would end in a 1-1 draw between Chelsea and Everton. Chelsea won that game by 2-0. Cole Palmer back in the starting 11, back with a goal, and Malo Gusto providing the assist. Realist, he scored the second goal for the Blues there as they beat up against Everton by 2-0. Away to Anfield, Hugo Ekitike scored a brace as Liverpool beat up against Brighton by 2-0. Our prediction had been a 2-1 victory for Liverpool over Brighton. I thought Brighton were not clinical, otherwise they would have gotten something, at least a goal in that game. But for all the chances that they did create, throughout the second half, they were not clinical enough. Realist, Mohamed Salah had a golden opportunity to score, but he missed that one. Hugo Ekitike failed at one attempt to play Mo Salah in early enough for when they went on a counter-attack. Then they had another counter-attack. Mo Salah was supposed to play in one of his teammates, including, I think, Virgil van Dijk was in that frame, but his touch was a little too heavy for a pass that would have been the assist, and things like that, really. So it was, at the end of it all, a very, very good game to watch. But Liverpool backed winning ways. Mo Salah got all the applauses that he does deserve for a player of his caliber playing at home for the Reds. And that was his final game to feature in this year before he heads off to the Africa Cup of Nations, where he will be representing Egypt. Hi, Mark. Mark R8S60 or O says, yeah. Hi, how are you, Mark? Good to have you on the broadcast. Kindly do me a favor and like the broadcast, but also if you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel. Arsenal coming close to opening the scoring, but Wolves defender could not let Ben White put in the cross. Impressive challenge there from Wolves. We're into the 20th minute of the game. Who do you think will win the league? My prediction lays with Arsenal. They're the ones I predicted that will win the Premier League, unless you have a contrasting view to mine. But I still retain that prediction. My predictions for the Premier League's top four were Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester City. But from the look of things, I do not know if Liverpool will manage to come second. I do not know if Chelsea will be able to finish above Manchester City, but the jury is still out there. We still have a long way to go. After match day 16, I think we'll still have about 22 games still left to play. So there's still a long way to go in as far as the season is concerned. And yeah. Yours is Man City. Wow. For a team in the reason as why I did not give it to Man City is I thought that being the team that is still in transition, there are moments during the course of the season during which they would struggle, and also some of their new players, I thought they would struggle a little bit or have a slow start in terms of gelling into the rest of the team. But to be honest, they've done largely fairly well. Ryan Cherki, Tijan Reinders, Ryan Achnery, although that one has suffered a couple of injuries, which hasn't helped his, acclimatization into the team and things like that. But he's done really, really well, in my opinion. So then Gianluigi Donnarumma is settled into the team. Same applies for James Trafford, the goalkeeper they signed from Burnley, and things like that. So, but given the experience of Pep Guardiola, who has been there on so many occasions in the running for the Premier League title, with all his experience, having won it 6 out of 9 times, and this being their 10th season, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he guided Manchester City to their 7th Premier League title in his command, really. I wouldn't be surprised at all. In any case, for the 3 times that Arsenal finished second, twice on those occasions, it was Manchester City that sort of, knocked them off the top of the table to win the title for the 2022-2023 Premier League campaign and the subsequent season, 2023-2024. So I clearly understand why you would have that kind of prediction for who will win the Premier League title. You say, yep, okay. Thank you so much, Mark. Arsenal are still trying to find a goal in this one, but Wolves are pretty much like Gabriel Martinelli said in their pre-match press conference for the game against Club Brugge, when he was being asked why he thinks he's scoring more in the Champions League than in the Premier League, he said, in the Champions League, teams are a little bit more open. Really, in the Premier League, teams play with the low block, they park the bus, and something like that. And we are seeing it today. Basically, Wolves have sat back, are waiting to catch Arsenal on the break. And for a second there, I had my heart in my mouth because Ebeleche Eze had conceded possession. Really, she was one of the last line of defense, So really, Amak says Arsenal quite good this season. Yeah, they've been good. But I've seen sections of Arsenal fans who have already questioned the, I don't want to say the judgment, but the performance of the team in the wake of the last recent run of results, particularly in the Premier League, where they have lost one, drawn two, and won only two in the last five prior to today's game. So a lot of fans, I don't want to say majority, but a good number of fans have sort of questioned, whether they are still in it. I think, like most, they do suffer from that anxiety of having Manchester City coming on behind them with only 2 points behind, them. So they know what Man City is capable of. Rob Edwards, ever since joining Wolverhampton Wanderers, easier to see any result go in his favor, really. He's not picked up a draw, he's not picked up a win. So, but like the Premier League is, any day can be a day for an upset. So Arsenal should not be whatsoever complacent in this fixture, thinking that it can't go either way. Bye. See you later. Thank you, Mark, for the while that you've dedicated to be with us. It's always a pleasure to see new faces that interact with us. So I hope you've subscribed before you sign out. But thank you so much for the engagement on this broadcast. Couple of loose passes from Arsenal, attempted through balls that are really, really poor. You can see Mikel Arteta is really, really very displeased with how his team is going about this game so far, really, in terms of some of those loose passes that they played in the final third. I did subscribe and like. Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you. What is he thinking? What kind of loose pass is that? It remains goalless as we speak between Arsenal and Wolverhampton Wanderers. I did not think Wolves would last this long, but their strategy, I'd say, is pretty solid. Oh, come on. Saka trying to inspire his team into a lead, but so far not yet paying off. Just wanted to see where Victor Gyökeres was in that moment. While Arsenal have dominated this fixture for the last 5 meetings, winning, I think, all of them without losing, it's not always an easy fixture, as it may sound on paper, really. Oh, David Raya called into action in the 27th minute with Wang Hee-chan going on the break there. I mean, Arsenal all caught up high up in the pitch. Again, I've always said I have, challenges with that kind of defensive line for the Arsenal where they overcommit all their numbers and nobody's there to protect them. And they almost are conceded from that. And like I said, it's the strategy that you got to go about with this Arsenal side. If you try to go to toe with them, playing, exploring, playing expansive football, you're going to get beat. You're going to get hammered, and no less than 3 goals. So you'd rather play that low block and look to catch them on the counter because they commit so many numbers high up the pitch that if you station yourself strategically, you can cause them problems. And at least we've seen with their first attempt on goal as that being the case, of that very, very strategy, you know. Come on. Ben White seems to have picked up an injury. That means they're going to bring on Miles Lewis Kelly to do the swap for Urian Timber to come to right back, and then Skelly goes to left back. Hi, how are you, Daniel Tuton? Good to have you on the broadcast. Do us the absolute usual honors and like the broadcast. Oh, let's see, is there a foul? Nothing intended from Victor Yokeres on Mosquera. Do you support Liverpool? No, but I had predicted that they would win today's game, although my prediction had been 2-1 in their favor. They managed to keep a clean sheet, which was quite impressive, really. So, Arsenal's injury problems can't seem to end. Every single game, they pick up an injury. Ever since his return to the starting 11, Ben White has been one of the best and most consistent players. It hasn't been for too many games, but he's been really, really impressive for me. And yet he is the player going off through injury, or that has had to go off through injury. It's really that sad reminder that Arsenal have picked up an injury at every turn in this at almost in almost every game this season. So that means, oh, wait, actually, it's a whole host of changes. UN Tiba was playing as a center back, so that means Piero Hinka pulls into the center back to play alongside William Saliba. Skelly goes to the left back, and then you have Timber move to the right back. Yes, as opposed to what I had mentioned earlier. So that's the swap. This is the game in which Miles Lewis Kelly got himself booked or sent off last season, or as dubious as the red card had been, he still got booked anyway. I feel if you're Wolves, you do not have the luxury whatsoever to waste any minute of play. Not at all. particularly bearing in mind that you've not won a single game of football so far this season. You know, that was overplayed. That was overplayed for Rice. Sam Johnson, instead of collecting the ball, he left it go outside, thinking it's a goal kick and it's a corner kick. What kind of risk taking is that? My nan died today. Your nan? What's a nan? Kindly enlighten me, Danielle. What's nan? Did you mean your nanny or nun as nun, Catholic nun? Mikel Arteta could not believe his eyes that they had missed that call. He should be scoring from there. Should be scoring from there, Gabriel Martinelli. No excuses whatsoever. Grandma, your grandma. Okay, so sorry for your loss. May their soul rest in peace. But really sorry for your loss. Christ, what are you doing? Simply knock the ball back to Skedy. It's that simple. These players can't seem to grasp it. That all you need to do is do the basics. Do the simple thing and get on with the game. Don't try to be too smart or too confident. You don't need that. Keep it simple. Because, see, the funny thing about football is that you can be better all evening and still not win. You know, that Wolves in a game like this, where you'd expect Arsenal to win comfortably, get that one moment, score a goal, and suddenly Arsenal firing blanks, and before we know it, it's ended 1-0. It can happen. It is possible. So, like I said, Arsenal ought to have to not to be complacent in this game whatsoever. Otherwise, they could easily get penalized. Rob Edwards will be pretty pleased with this team that they have maintained their shape, that they've not conceded too many chances, you know, not in set pieces, not from open play. They've remained solid. They've defended with every single body they have, you know. They're maintaining that deep line of defense, and it will take a lot to break it. I'm going to go now because I want to relax in peace. Sorry. It's all right, Daniel. Thank you so much for sparing a moment to be with us. Um, we wish you well while you are away. Thank you. Come on. Wow. That's a clean ball from Bukayo Saka. Where's Victor Gyökeres? Oh, he tries to run to it but can't get there soon enough. And Gabriel Martinelli at the back end of the post. Oh, his attempt is deflected into a corner kick. So I'm making it really, really uncomfortable for Wolves during set pieces, but they are yet to make it count anyway. So Wolverhampton Wanderers will be pretty pleased that it's still goalless. Rob Edwards was at Middlesbrough when Wolves came calling. Must say, a good number of people were not pleased by his decision. Middlesbrough having picked him from the doldrums and trusted him. For the first time, I don't know if it's me, but for the first time, sometimes the primary camera doesn't seem fast enough. Really? Is that how you're going to play this? It's going to be risky. Come on. Somebody insert themselves in those pockets. Arsenal trying to knock it sideways, hoping that again. Martin Zubimendi did provide 2 assists for Arsenal in the UEFA Champions League, but they have looked far from convincing because let's not forget this is why they signed up players like Ebeleche Eze to break these mid and low blocks to try and get results that they missed out on last season for games that ended in draws. A lot of eyes Oh, it's not looking pretty. Uh, hmm. the silence means you're not missing out on much. It means you're not missing out on much. That's quite surprising. Arsenal yet to have a shot on target. Realist Wolves have had one. They've had as many as six off target according to Premier League stats. But that's what happens when you're playing along, against low blocks and things of that nature. Guys, getting around in front of the defender and try to get your head to that. They just need to keep pumping in balls in that area, and eventually, uh, Arsenal, they can't cause them to make mistakes. Other than the Ben White treatment, and I do not think there's anything that would justify, and that of Mosquera, I do not think there's anything that would justify, having added minutes in on here. So not even try. It's like they're playing basketball. The moment they concede possession, they put back in their own half. Simple. And unfortunately, I do not see how, even if you were to bring Martin Odegaard, improves this game. Because again, you will carry that ball, knock it around, you know, and it will be the same story. The kinds of players that maybe you may need in this game are those that you think can take bodies out of the way. Maybe Noni Madweke can help you put body or two out of the way, but Arsenal are going to have to look and find other penetrative ideas. Possibly try go from distance because it's not something they've tried to do much. They're they're all looking to play that final ball in between the lines and things like that, and it's not paying off really. Oh, surprising! 4 minutes were added on, and we played two of those. I think this one is going to get to end goalless in this opening 45 minutes. And then we'll see whether Arsenal have different ideas. And I do not think Wolves are going to play any different in the second half. So let's see what the kind of reaction is there for this Arsenal side from the online community. Oh, what a block. What a block that was from Hinkapi. What a block that was from Hinkapi. Could have easily been 1-0 to Wolves. Okay. We're going to try and get some reaction from online in regards to this Arsenal game. Come on. What's so hard for getting the ball in the box? Really, what's so hard about that? I feel sometimes Arsenal complicate their own thing. It's goalless at halftime between the two sides, but let's see what the reaction is over there. Mm. Mikel Arteta urged Arsenal fans to show support to Victor Gyökeres. I mean, he's a player that has received a lot of criticism or scrutiny, fairly and unfairly, in my opinion. I said this the other day, and I'll repeat it again. I'll be worried if he was missing many chances. But the problem for him is that he's not even getting those chances. You know, so he said, and I quote again: the sample is very small. Leave Victor alone. Let him do what he does best. Be behind him, and I'm sure things will turn out in the right way. Working, understanding what he needs more, understanding the things he needs to tweak in this league, in our team, to be more prolific and to be more dangerous and to be in more dangerous positions. The other night, he had two big chances as well, and put him as much as possible and put in as much as possible in that position, and he will do for sure what he wants because he wants it so badly as well. That's Mikel Arteta earlier on speaking about Victor Gyökeres in regards, I think, calling for fans to be behind the striker to show him love and support. I remember he made the same call when some Arsenal fans were really, really concerned about Kai Havertz and things like that. Okay. Somebody saying some Arsenal will beat Wolves. If embarrassing, this should be 4-0 scoreline right now, or Wolves aren't pressing the ball. Play through them then. Okay, Saka ball across the box is the type of ball Gyökeres should be latching onto, but they will say that they did not create enough for him. The guy movement in the box is shit. That's KC Kana at Denchi Life. Denchi Life. They are commenting about that. Again, I mean, it's not like he did not see the ball or didn't try to do anything to get to it. He just did not get there early enough. Do not bring your cave mentality. Okay, no, that's not the comment I was looking for. if you're worried about this game and really coming into this match, not expecting that form moves, then you do not know football. You really thought they would open up for us? Of course not. The game plan is working. We are not Manchester United or other teams. They will try to get a draw. Again, that's speaking to what we are talking about earlier on, saying against Arsenal, teams just know how good they are, and they will play with that low block, try to frustrate them, try and elongate the game, look to get an advantage on a counter attack, off a set piece, or anything, and perhaps win the game. Or if they can pick a point, they'll be happy with the point already. So Arsenal extending the hate watch just to keep the haters happy before sending him to sleep angry. Sorry, but this is embarrassing. We are struggling with the bottom of a league club. Arteta still can't find the best combination for a winning team. Now, that's the kind of comment that would come from a fan who, the kinds of fans who say manager should do A, and when he does A, they tell him to do B, and if B doesn't work, they say they should have done A. That's the kind of comment you'd get from that kind of, a fan. But like I said, it's goalless at halftime. Arsenal will have to dig in. I'm not really worried. My concern is that they're not even taking attempts on goal. Again, this kind of game plan, they would have anticipated, they would have expected. They need to find a way to break it. And by the way, Arsenal have not scored a goal from set pieces. I think that's in the Premier League since 1st November, and I think they've scored 10 goals in between there, and all coming from open play. Now, against this kind of team, instead of trying to play that clean pass into the box, hoping that somebody's going to make the decent run and get onto hit, sometimes you go to try and go from distance. And when I say go from distance, it's not like you're going to get a ton of space, in terms of you seeing through all those bodies in defense and having your open goal at goal. You're obviously not going to get that. But there are moments I have seen where a player could have done that, and they waited to pass it, to knock it aside, to try and play, the through pass, and it just did not work, or it just did not, end up giving them the desired result they would have wanted to have. Arsenal has been holding the ball the whole game, and the one time Wolverhampton Wanderers goes on the attack, they almost score. Arteta, fix our attacking, please. Again, my question will be, what would you do differently if you are the manager? Bad first half from Arsenal, we need to do much better. I think nobody knows that more than anybody else. Okay, if you finish a half without a shot on goal, then clearly. But there's that opportunity that fell to Gabriel Martinelli at the back post. For me, he should be scoring from there. Anyways, in the other games, like I said, Chelsea beat up against Everton. Cole Palmer scored, and Malo Gusto, with Malo Gusto and Pedro Neto providing the assists in that one, respectively. Liverpool, Hugo Ekitike, the goal scorer, Joe Gomez, who went off injured, and Mo Salah provided the assists for Ekitike as he scored his 5th and 6th Premier League goals of the season. He's climbing up in the ranks of the top scorers for this season. In fact, he has 7 goals. I figured so. So Brad Erling Haaland is leading the top scorers with 15. Igor Thiago with 11. Ekitike, Danny Welbeck, Jean-Philippe Mateta all at 7. Bryan Mbeumo, Anton Semenyo, Rick Carson, Phil Foden all have 6. Nick Volkmada. Now, the one thing I noticed, Arsenal do not have a top scorer in the top 10, let alone the top possibly 15, because their top scorers all have 4 goals, and that's Bukayo Saka, Victor Gyökeres, and Leandro Trossard in as far as the Premier League is concerned. And that for me is concerning. Yes, they are scoring goals. Can they score more? We do expect them to score more. They've scored 28 goals this season. That's 7 goals less than Manchester City have scored. They've conceded as many as 9 goals. That's the least goals conceded so far, but that for me is still high. The reason as why I say high, I think in the first about almost 10 games or 7 games, they're about between 7 and 10, that only conceded 3. So now they've conceded 6. 2 against Sunderland, 1 against Spurs unnecessarily, 1 against Chelsea, and then they conceded against what was it? Oh, I'm trying to remember. 2 against Aston Villa, so really. So they need to pull up their socks in that regard. Then the other game, Fulham, like I said, beat up against Burnley by 3 goals to 2. Emile Smith-Rowe and Calvin Bassey, as well as Harry Wilson, scored to win it all for Marco Silva's side, with Harry Wilson providing a burst of assists for Emile Smith-Rowe and Calvin Bassey's goals. Really, Samuel Chukwueze provided the assist for Harry Wilson. Those goals coming in the 9th minute, in the 31st minute, and in the 58th minute. Redist Leslie Woguchuku scored in the 21st minute to make it 1-1 at the time. And then Sonny scored in the 86th minute to pull another back for the home side, Burnley. Like I said, our prediction had been a 1-0 victory for Burnley, but they could not make that count. That result takes Fulham to 20 points and are now in 13th place. That means they've leapfrogged Bournemouth, But, of course, they played the game more compared to some of those teams, but that's a very, very wonderful victory. Burnley are second from bottom. Wolves have 3 points. They've had 3 draws. 0. Okay, no, they have 2 points, but as the game is ongoing at the moment, it's still goalless. So this would be their 3rd draw if they were to pick out a point in this game. West Ham are 3rd from bottom. West Ham are in action tomorrow, so they're in action tomorrow. West Ham United. Let's wait for them. Speaking of action tomorrow, do not miss out on Manchester City up against away to Crystal Palace. Tottenham will be away to Nottingham Forest, while Sunderland will be at the Stadium of Light against Newcastle. West Ham United up against Aston Villa, while Brentford at 7:30 p.m. will be up against Leeds. All the other earlier 4 fixtures will be kicking off at 5 p.m. East African time, with Manchester United coming on Monday Night Football against FC Bournemouth at 11 p.m. So yeah, make sure you do not miss out on all that action. Okay, let's see. Elsewhere, in as far as today is concerned, Atletico de Madrid beat up against Valencia by 2 goals to 1. Koke and Antoine Griezmann were the goal scorers in that game to win it for Atletico de Madrid. Alexander Soroth had a goal scored, but it was ruled out by VAR, same as Pepelu had scored 1 for Valencia, but it was ruled out by VAR, while Beltran scored what turned out to be the consolation for Valencia. Mallorca beat up against Elche by 3 goals to 1, and like I said, Barcelona beat up against Osasuna by 2 goals to 0. Getafe and Espanyol is at halftime goalless. In the German Bundesliga, Wolfsburg beat up against Gladbach by 3 goals to 1. Eintracht Frankfurt beat up against Augsburg by 1 goal to 0. Hoffenheim beat up against Hamburg SV by 4 goals to 1. St. Pauli beat up against Heidenheim by 2 goals to 1. Bayer Leverkusen were 2-0 winners against FC Cologne. In the Italian Serie A, Torino beat against Cremonese by 0-0, while Lazio beat up against Parma by a similar scoreline. And as we speak, in the 59th minute, Atlanta are 1-0 up against Cagliari. In the French League One, Stade Rennes beat up against Brest by 3-1, while Metis lost to Paris Saint-Germain by 3-2. Paris Saint-Germain's goals they are scored by Goncalo Ramos, Njatou, and Desile Doué. There the goal scorers for Paris Saint-Germain. So those are some of the result updates from elsewhere in around Europe as we wait for the resumption of the second half. Let's see if we can get more reaction from some of the Arsenal fans on X in regards to what their observations have been. We know that Arsenal were earlier on forced into a substitution, withdrawing Ben White for an injury, and they brought on Miles Lewis Kelly, so they had a swap of positions with Yurian Timber, who started playing alongside William Saliba in as the two center backs, are moving to right back. Then Pierre Hincapié, who had started at left back, are moving in the center back role, and Miles Lewis Kelly going up to left back. So let's wait and see whether that defense can be able to keep a clean sheet, but more if Arsenal can impact the game on the other side. Somebody called Praveen Victor says, bring on Mikel Merino, time to put this game to bed with a set piece. Come on, you Gunners. This is not an agenda, but Gyökeres looks lost out here, man. That's from Clovis Football Talk. Clovis Football Talk. Then somebody says, really? Is that true? No. I don't remember that to be true. I do not remember that to be true. Oh, come on. Oh, okay. Okay. But yeah, they part ways with him. Last I checked. Okay, I was just checking on Patrick Vieira there for a moment. Somebody had submitted a comment regarding Patrick Vieira, and I thought I needed to verify that because I thought otherwise, and which was the case. Let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah, we're back for the second half already. Let's see if Arsenal can get something out of this game. Tyler Med says, can Wolves hang on to a draw? That will be hilarious. Well, indeed, it will be hilarious if Wolves can hang on to that goalless draw. But anything is possible in football. Anything is possible. In other words, like I keep saying, if you want to win the Premier League title, there are games you need to win in whichever form or shape. How you win them is less important than the fact that you actually win. Because, for example, when we talk about Manchester City with their record 100 points for the 2017-2018 season, we talk less about how good they played, and we talk about the fact that they won the league title and the fact that they did it with a record number of points. When we're talking about Jurgen Klopp's legacy in terms of what he won, Pierre Hincapié ought to be really, really careful how he goes about certain situations. Otherwise, it will leave him vulnerable to getting himself booked. Again, like I said, Wolves are not changing strategy. They're basically going on about the same thing. Who is your team, bro? football is my team for starters. Anything football, that's my team. But I do pay allegiance to Arsenal. I pay allegiance to Real Madrid, the Uganda Cranes, and the Brazil national team. But I just love football as a whole. So yeah, no pun intended. But thank you so much, TaylorMade, for asking at 28-26. Let's see. Can Arsenal conjure up something? I do not think the intricate play that they tend to have, the beautiful interplays between them in certain diamonds and shapes, is going to work. It's not going to work. I struggle to think that it will work. I think they're going to have to look for unconventional means to try and win this game. That's what it will take. They will have to win it the unconventional way if they want to win this game. Leandro Trossard is among the players warming up. Martin Odegaard, Mikel Merino, and Noni Madueke. Those are the Arsenal players on the sidelines warming up. Knowing Mikel Arteta, I do not think he will bring all of them on at the same time, but expect to see Mikel Merino in this game, replacing Victor Gyökeres. Expect to see Noni Madueke in this game, and possibly Leandro Trossard. Wolves may hang on till 60, 70. They can even hang on up to 80 something. You know, this sometimes for me, the undoing for these small teams is that they will play well for 85 minutes and then suddenly crumble away, you know, in last 5 minutes or in just a moment. So, for example, Atlanta in the UEFA Champions League were beating up against, what was it? Oh, was it against Slavia Praha? No, I'm struggling to remember what team it was. But they held on to, and in a space of 5 minutes, conceded 3 goals. You know, and I'm thinking to myself, did it have to happen that way after all the fight you had put up? And then suddenly, after conceding those goals, then they sort of wake up again. It's like they slumbered for 5 minutes. That is why we love the game, lad. Anything can happen at any moment. True, true. And by the way, the other thing you should expect, if this game gets into 70, 75 minutes, still goalless, what Wolves will then turn to is try to knock Arsenal players around, concede as many fouls as they can, but just to kill Arsenal's momentum. Because you see, the thing about that bit of momentum of a team being dominant on the ball is that it can easily wear you down as an opponent because you're constantly chasing. You know, you're constantly chasing. So because it can tire you down, you then you rely on those, committing fouls here and there to kill momentum, but also buy yourself a bit of breathing, a breather as the opponent sets up for set piece and things like that. Again, what I've seen today is Arsenal's over-reliance on the right wing. Less have they looked to the left wing to try and make things happen. I don't like it when Gabriel Martinelli is sort of isolated out there. They give him the ball and then support takes long to come, in contrast to what happens to their right wing, you know. Wang Hichan may turn out to be a nightmare for Pierre Hincapi. And then the other trick that I know always works when it comes to breaking teams that play with the low block is moving that ball really, really fast. Is you have to move it really, really fast. That way you give yourself a chance. That sort of half second that you're faster could create for you the opening that you're looking for. "55 minutes in, and we are yet to see a goal." Oh, that's just a poor corner from Declan Rice. The do-over. You'll forgive my feet. My feet is a couple of seconds behind. Again, Lewis Kelly doing Lewis Kelly things of trying to be overly confident of the ball. It's simple: strike the ball, and he tries to protect the ball, try and twist and turn. Leandro Trossard, Martin Odegaard, and Mikel Merino are players being ready to be brought on. Saka overran that one. Meanwhile, I see, okay, scary substitutions at them. Yeah, they look scary, but it will depend on what impact they can have on this team for us to say that they do count. But yeah, on paper, they look scary. If a team is bringing on a Martin Odegaard, Leandro Trossard, and Mikel Merino, that can feel too much to handle, or a little too much to handle. But until they give you the impact that you would have hoped for, Gabriel Martinelli, was he trying to score or was he trying to cross the ball? I'm lost. I don't know what to make of that. Because Gyökeres makes the run, doesn't get that fast enough. Oh, he's trying to go for goal. He's trying to go for goal. He's not trying to cross it. He's looked at the goalkeeper and he's trying to bend it to the far post. That's what he was trying to go. He's being withdrawn. He's been withdrawn for Leandro Trossard. Zubimendi has been taken off. Eze, Martinelli, and Zubimendi paving the way for Mikel Merino, Trossard. Wow. Okay. That means, by the way, Declan Rice plays at the pivot of the midfield alongside Mikel Merino and Martin Odegaard. Zubimendi looking not too pleased there for his substitution, but it is what it is. really don't know what Arteta read into that to make that decision for Zubimendi. It's not one that I would have seen coming or I would have anticipated. Ebeleche Eze for Martin Odegaard, that was as routine as substitutions come. The one thing I want Martin Odegaard to do is release the ball quick. Just release it. Do not overcarry it. Do not be overly passive. Wang Hee-chan is got to be careful. He's got to be careful there. Oh. It's not a red card in my opinion, but in real time, it does look more nasty than it actually is when you see it in a flash. But it's worth a yellow card. Oh, Ango changes it. Oh, that angle sort of changes it in a way. It may change your perception. I still contend it's a yellow card, not a red card, but yeah. When you see it from that different angle where he goes into the side of his ankle, it looks more nasty. More nasty. We are beyond the 1 hour mark, so Trossard couldn't get there on time. I mean, still not shot on target for the Arsenal. And it's the same story that we saw in the first half. Knock it around, be passive, with no real impact, with no real end products. The more they keep trying to find that final ball, that final pass, that is going to break the lines, the more it eludes them, I think they need to improve on their speed. That's for one. They need to improve on their speed. Because if they improve on their speed, then you can cause some disruptions and movement in necessary places. But for as long as it continues that way, you struggle to think of The real test will be 80 minutes onwards. No, for me, that's never the real test because you see, teams have 90 minutes to play. Then suddenly, when they get to the 80th, 85th mark towards 90, then they begin rushing it as though that's when it matters the most. And in my head, I'm always thinking, you've had 90 minutes to be that rush, and you've not done that. Now, time is winding down, and suddenly you're telling us you want it more than you had wanted it the first 80 minutes. For me, it doesn't make sense. For that's why I'm saying you increase the tempo in a certain phase of the game, really have a good quartet, and just do not seize until you have a goal, But it's still goalless. It's still goalless. And for one who predicted a 3-0 victory for the Arsenal, I'm increasingly not seeing it because I'm now thinking to myself, where are the 3 goals going to come from if Arsenal have not had a shot on target in the faster 65 minutes, The free kick is a little too far out. Don't be direct. I tried to go for it, but it was Sam Johnston got his fingertips to it. Would have dipped possibly on the crossbar. Exactly. Play some. Come on. Declan Rice just tested Sam Johnston in goal, but it was from fairly long distance, so he had his eyes to that one. That's what I was saying. Try and go from distance. Quit trying to get that final ball. go from distance. Maybe you get a rebound from the goalkeeper, you get the scraps and things like that. Solid from the goalkeeper. Yeah, solid indeed. So that's what I was saying. Try and go from distance. And if the goalkeeper fumbles the ball in the area, you can lash onto it if you can get there quick enough. But, yep. We are in the 70th minute mark, and yeah, Arsenal still struggling. Arsenal still struggling to break down walls. They can't afford to drop, by the way. They can't afford to lose. It wouldn't be the end of life, but you just can't afford it against Wolves. And it goes in at long last. Off of the goalkeeper, hits the inside of the upright, and it bounces off the goalkeeper. It took a while there for Arsenal to find the breakthrough. I don't think it's game over. Not really. Hits the inside of the crossbar and bounces off the shoulder of the goalkeeper, and he hits the back of the net. He will really, really feel hard done by that kind of goal, conceding that goal. They had done well as a team, but more importantly, he had done well equally to keep them in the game. When it came to Arsenal's crosses and set pieces, he had done well really. Now, what Arsenal can hope is that this goal entices Wolves to sort of open up a little bit, and if Wolves do make that, then they could have a go at them. However, on the other side, I hope the goal does not um, sort of persuade Arsenal into slowing down their own tempo, into thinking that they can hold on to that one matchstick in the match box to say, this is what wins us the game. Uh-oh. That was a beautiful pass from Declan Rice to Leandro Trossard. Just couldn't bring it under his comfort control and sort of escapes away from him. Otherwise, he was trying to ready himself to take the shot. Uh-oh. That's a handball. So now Wolves can't afford to sit back because they go down, must explore something further forward, you know. You have a quarter an hour left to play. Can Wolves make something of that? Or will it be one-way traffic? Arsenal now looking to play in their own half a little more, which they need to avoid. Because the 1-0 lead is not something that gives you confidence of winning the game. Anything can happen. Could be a moment out of nothing. For example, today Liverpool squad with the Victor Gyökeres coming close there. That's his best moment in the entire game. Bukayo Saka desperately trying to get there, but he couldn't get there early enough. Wolves ain't scoring, mate. No way. I mean, look, you see, football is funny. You'll be surprised where moments come from. For example, Liverpool scored in the first minute of the game, and it was Yankuba Minte trying to clear the ball away, and he doesn't clear it far enough, even though he was attempting a diagonal clearance. Joe Gomez gets a head to it, and Ekitike is in the right place, bang, and it's 1-0. It's not like Liverpool really, really worked hard to craft that goal. So that was a goal from literally out of nothing, So anything can happen. It could be a loose back pass to David Raya that Arsenal get caught up with. It could be a quick counter. It could be a loose pass, and the Wolves win the ball back in a dangerous area. It could be that, as we've seen in the 76 minutes, anything can happen. Nerves can get the better of you. Who is overlapping for Trossard? Saka. Tolu seems quite marked and heavy-bodied, kind of a forward that can give you physical nightmares in terms of fighting for that ball. And we know that Arsenal do not have Gabriel Magalhaes, who usually forms that sort of towering defender with all the energy, very, very strong, hard to bully off the ball, who is fighting for the second balls. By the way, Wolves are no longer sitting deep. This is the chance Arsenal have to try and go at them. It's just too much on that. Keep going. We're into the 80th minute mark of the game. If you're a lazy fan, you must be wondering to yourself how Man United put 4 past Wolves and Arsenal struggling to score even one, later on get a second, So, but I feel like Arsenal could use the pace of Noni Madueke with these final 8-10 minutes of the game left to play. Gabriel Jesus is being ready to come on. Gave Club Brugge a bit of trouble when he came on. Question is, who is he coming on for? Is it Bukayo Saka or Victor Gyökeres? Jesus Christ. Gabriel is dishing out instructions, so is Mikel Arteta. Is one giving a pep talk and another giving tactics? What's the difference? What's happening there? Arsenal about to get their 9th clean sheet of the season, because I think they have 8. Victor Gyökeres is the man that has been sacrificed at a moment when he started to, But let's see what Gabriel Jesus can do in this game. He's been out for the last 11 months. Mikel Arteta was asked whether they would let him go in January, and he said he wouldn't dream of it. Not the exact words, but he said absolutely not. Miles Lewis Kelly, come on, throw the ball. Don't waste our time. He's been very, very unfortunate with injuries by the Gabriel Jesus. He's not a bad player. He just doesn't have the luck with injuries. Release the ball. See, that is a triangle that I keep talking about in the right wing that you do not get in the left wing. Trossard. Wow, that was clever. That was clever by Trossard. Trying to go for the near post when the goalkeeper is expecting you to go the far post. That was clever. Unfortunately for him, it was off target. Went in the side net. 84 minutes. Still not much separating the two sides besides Arsenal's. That's cheeky. Come on, press that ball. Can Wolves conjure up something? For the first time in this second half, it feels like in the last 4 or 5 minutes, they've had a fair touch of the ball. Not enough, but it's been fair. Arsenal will have, for the first time in a long while, a week's rest before they take on Everton in their next game, after which they will play Crystal Palace midweek for the EFL quarterfinals. And then after that, they'll play Brighton for match day 18. Why are you turning back towards your goal, Odegaard? Why? Taylor said Wolves ain't scoring. Well, they've only scored one in the last 11. That was the goal against Manchester United by Belgrade. But, I mean, anything can happen. It's football. It's football. It's like Ugandan weather. Any day it can rain. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Arsenal are living dangerously. Gabriel Jesus being forced to clear. Whoa, just put the ball in the box. Cause Arsenal to falter. That's what you're looking for. Wow, that was a brilliant chance for Wolves. That was a brilliant chance for Wolves. Bruce Kelly coming to the rescue of the Arsenal. I'm sure Arsenal fans had their hearts in their mouths for a second there. And like I said, ever since Arsenal squad in the later part stages of this game, they've sat back. They decided to play in their own half, which I said would be against them. And I see no reason why they are doing it. Wolves put the ball in the box. You're not going to score from 60 yards away. Trying to be coy with Arsenal. It's 1-1. It's a goal. This is Arsenal's doing. They decided to play in their own half, and it worked against them. It's in. It's in. I told you, once they decided to play in their own half, it was working against them. You cannot do that. You can't be 1-0 up and you decide to play in your own half and expect not to concede. Apologies there. Exactly. One simple moment like this is all that they need to put it away. One moment like this, and Arsenal gave that away. They gave Wolves the time on the ball in their own half, which they did not need to do. Beautiful goal. Beautiful goal for Wolves. Arsenal will only have themselves to blame for that one. They conceded their 10th goal of the season, whereas Wolves scored their second in 11 games. That is going to be Arsenal's undoing. Atayla says, wow, remember, told you so. You don't need much. Remember what was Arsenal's squad? I said, I hope that they do not relax and try to play over so much in their own half, and they did just that. And Wolves were going to commit numbers, and that was Arsenal's chance to actually try and get at Wolves the more, because then Wolves are committing numbers to find that equalizer up front, That's what they needed to do. But they decided, we're going to sit back, we're going to be passive, and then they conceded possession, Insane. Insane. You say, I cannot believe it. Arsenal fans are going to be melting down on X. They're going to be melting down. And I'm not sure they're going to, I don't know who they will blame for this one, but only those players have it to blame, because I do not think anybody sent them to play that way, to sit back. You cannot do that. It's the Premier League. Anything can happen. Now they are trying to be anxious. They're trying to get on with it quickly enough. And that's when things go against you, really. That's when things go against you, Now, this reminds me of, was it the 2023-2024 season or the one before that, when Arsenal were 3-1 down against Southampton, and they needed to come from 3-1 down to level 2-2, sorry, 3-2. And then they went to West Ham, led by 2-0. Oh, it's a goal. Gabriel Jesus scores 2-1. Wow. What a return for Gabriel Jesus. Is this the moment that we remember of, what was his name? Reece Nelson's goal against Bournemouth, which they won 3-2. Remember, they went 2-0 down very early on in the half, and then they had to dig themselves out. And I think it was Ben White and Thomas Partey, was it, who got the goals to make it 2-2. And then Reece Nelson, with the last kick of the game, won it for them. Let's see. Is he onside? Yeah. Bukayo Saka crossing in the ball. Gabriel Jesus is the player that gets his head to it. Charles Watts said this, that the reason as why you keep a player like Gabriel Jesus with all his problems upon his return from injury and not part ways with him in January is that he may not score so many goals, but he could score 1 or 2 goals that wins you 3 points in different games. And this could be that night. This could be that night. It's not yet all over. We're into the 6th minute of stoppage time. But Wolves scoring against Arsenal will have a lot to think about. Oh, it's been given as a Mosquera own goal, not Gabriel Jesus. Wow. I mean, he will take the credit. So it will go down as a game that Arsenal won without scoring, because the goal has been given as an own goal by Mosquera and the other by Johnston. Uh-oh. Wolves going ahead here. Could they have another chance? Let's see. How does it drop here? Do you see another goal or what? Arsenal fans have their hearts in their mouths. Gabriel Jesus trying to go for it, but he wanted to roll it back to that moment when he scored against Manchester United in their 3-1 victory, and he could not make it happen. He wanted to run it back to that moment when Declan Rice scored to make it 2-1, and then Fabio Vieira provided the assist for Gabriel Jesus to make it 3-1 against Manchester United. The referee is saying, let's play on. I'm not sure who wants to hear the final whistle more, but I would want to suspect that it is Mikel Arteta. So I just need to hold on to that ball, pass it in the right areas in the half of the opponent. Oh. It's a Premier League. You have to grind it. Oh, it's all over. Arsenal win it by 2-1. I can't say it's been a beautiful game of football. It's been far from it. It's been dominant for Arsenal in terms of possession with little effort to it, really, because it's a game in which they've not scored. Wolves conceded 2 own goals. And in other words, they scored all 3 goals in this game. But Arsenal won't care any less. They will simply march on with all 3 points and be happy that they remain at the summit of the Premier League table at the end of match day 16, because that victory, and I said this, it was always not going to be easy for Arsenal bouncing back following that defeat against Aston Villa. Now, unfortunately for them, they have an even harder game coming up next. That's against Everton. And it's not going to be easy. It's not a game that they cannot win, but it's a game that they can equally easily lose on another day, So really, for me, but yeah, great game. Not the most entertaining. Did not meet our expectations whatsoever. But yeah, Wolves will only have themselves to blame, and it is what it is. Arsenal win. That victory takes them to 36 points, 5 ahead of Manchester City. We know that Manchester City are in action tomorrow, away to Crystal Palace. We know Aston Villa are in action tomorrow, away to West Ham. I think our prediction was for Aston Villa to win that game by 3-1. For Man City, we gave it a 2-1 win against Crystal Palace. Those are the only teams that can win and sort of have an impact on the point margin at the top of the Premier League table for the Arsenal there. Anyways, guys, allow me to wrap it here. It's been a pleasure doing this with you for the last 1 hour and 48 minutes for the watch along for the game between Arsenal and Wolverhampton Wanderers. We'll be back tomorrow. There will be no morning broadcast as we do not do that on Sundays, but we'll be back tomorrow at 11 p.m. Possibly we'll be following the events from the game between Deportivo Alaves and Real Madrid, but also we will be bringing you what will have transpired in the Premier League early on, because the late kickoff tomorrow comes at 7:30 p.m. That will be, I think, between Brentford and is it Leeds? So really, yeah, it's been a pleasure doing this with you. Thank you so much, Taylor Med, for being part of today's broadcast. Thank you so much, Mark, and every single one of you that spent a moment to be with us. Stay blessed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye for now.